Hey y'all. All right. As you can see, back out in the garage again. It's cold. It's dark outside. But you know what? I'm braving it anyway because I want to do something and I want to work on this engine, this 318, the $50 318. And I'd like to fire it up and actually run it long enough to test out the serpentine belt system. Serpentine belt, I've got it laying over here on that squirrel cage fan. But I want to get that thing running enough where I can say, okay, yes, the serpentine belt is going to stay on, or it's going to fall off, or fly off, or chew up the belt, or whatever. I think the alignment's pretty good, but I want to make sure. So, best way I know is to, you know, put all of this, accessory drive setup, which is the Magnum setup, onto this LA engine, which is never supposed to be. But that's the way it is because it's going on to another LA engine, which is the 360, which all of that will be going into my truck, the D150. But first, I want to say thank you so much to all of you. December 25th of last year had got 500 subscribers. I was over the moon. I was like, wow. Now, like, what is it, 2 weeks after New Year's? 1480 something, 1487, 1482, somewhere like that, 1485, I guess. Amazing. Simply amazing. So, I'm just bowled over. I cannot tell you just what that means to me. That it's just so amazing. So it just I find out I'm at a loss of words. Words. Okay, but thank you. Seriously, appreciate it. So you all keep pushing the channel forward, and I'll keep making these videos and trying to put out good content that you all can use. Okay, back to the 318. So, here we go. All right. What I'm doing is I want to get this, like I said before, I want to get this running. But there's a few detail items I need to tend to. All right. First, I need to get all the bolts in the power steering pump. Okay. I've got most of them, but I need a fourth one. I also need to weld a couple of nuts. See that one nut right there? That needs to be welded on. There's another one down there. Will have to be welded on. There's a little spacer I got to put in behind this, between the pump and this bracket I made. So that's going to be important. I'm also going to have to put more bolts in the water pump and the water pump gasket on. So that's going to be important. That's got to be done. And I want to get at least 2 more bolts in that crank pulley. Okay. I think that water outlet I made, thermostat housing I made, I'm going to have to seal it up with some, it's welded now, and I think there's very few cracks or leaks in there, but now I'm going to have to go back with some JB weld on it, I think. So, one of the downsides to welding with flux core. Not that I'm downing flux core, but yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to probably put a hose just to loop these two together and put a little fluid in the power steering pump so I don't burn it up. I don't know if that pump's any good or not. It may be garbage. I don't know. I didn't pay much for it, so. Anyway, okay. Now, a couple of things. When you're you're doing something like this and you're trying to find the correct bolts or the correct length of bolt, sometimes, lots of times, people will just shove the bolt through there and all of that. And yeah, you go back here and you look and you're like, okay, yeah, it's almost touching the cylinder head right there, but we're in good shape. You see it down there? So, you see it down there? See my finger pointing at it? But yeah, see right there. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, but what if you don't want to go through all of that? See? How about this? How about you just take it, you come under here, and you go like, hey, we can do that, like that. Okay? You see? Yeah. You see? You see how long it is, if it's going to be long enough. Okay? So, you can do that. Now, one tool you'll probably see me use just very, very often, and you'll see me like wear them out too, is a wire brush, which is really handy because, you know, a bolt like this, I need to get the rust off. See, I've already been cleaning the rust out of the threads, but what about the rest of the shank? Got to clean that up. What do I need to do? Really, really simple. If you've got a drill, you've got a way to do this. So what you do, you take your drill, you take your bolt, okay, you chuck up the bolt into the drill. All right, that's all you got to do. Now, you can take the, let's see, let me move you over here. So you can take the drill like that, like it sits right there, and you can just simply, it doesn't matter what direction you're going. It doesn't really matter, the direction doesn't. See, cleaning some of that off. You can go a little bit more aggressive. Get you a Scotch-Brite pad or a piece of sandpaper. Doesn't really matter. Let's see me. Yeah, here we go. Here's some sandpaper. We'll do both, okay? Just for demonstration. See, that turned out pretty good. You also do the same thing with sandpaper too. Whoop! Yeah, gotta be careful of that though. Alright, see? It's turning out pretty nice right there. Took a lot of that rust right off of there. That's pretty nice right there. Pretty doggone nice. Yeah, just a few minutes and that thing's looking pretty sharp. So, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. So yeah, this was a rusty refugee. Now it's looking whole lot better. So, you know, you see that rusty bolt laying in the junkyard, pick it up, take it home, save yourself a few bucks. And a trip to the hardware store too. Okay, so we're going to do this. Get some washers, and I'm going to put them between this pump and this bracket. Between the pump and the bracket here, there's a little gap back here. Let me get the light so you can see what I'm talking about. You see, there's a little bit of a gap. It's kind of hard to see, I know, on the camera, but it's there, trust me. So, see, originally this is made to like bolt to the head of a Magnum cylinder head. But I set that up with that bracket that I made to do that. So, time to go get some nuts, or at least one. But I think I'll just take the whole thing over there because I've got to find some more hardware for the water pump. So, all right. Excuse me for just a moment. I'm going to get that put together there, and I'll show you a little bit more, okay? Okay, y'all. Working on this power steering pump bracket. Got the nuts welded on. I welded a washer and a nut because this hole was a little bit elongated. So, and you know, just welding the nuts on there, just good enough, just strong enough just to hold the nuts in place while I crank the bolts down. That's it. And ran these all down. That way, when I take them back off, they're lined up like they're supposed to be. So, okay. And these are all tightened down too. So, all right, I'm going to take this, put it back on there. There's basically about 4 fasteners that holds this whole apparatus to the engine. Okay, so we got, as you can see, we got these 2 here. We got this one, and then there's a bracket in the front. I'll show you where that goes too. So let's get started there. Let's see here. Try to put you all in a decent place here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Well. Wow, this fit a while ago. Maybe I'm using the wrong bolt too. Okay, I gotta take all of these loose. Oh boy. Yep. Okay. For some reason or another, this thing's being really difficult with me. So, I'm gonna have to trim a little off of this here. I'll just take a grinder and just grind on that. So, I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, I'm back, and I've got that clearance there, that metal bracket was hitting this, the aluminum bracket. So it wasn't before, but when I welded the nuts on, there you go. Okay, such is the life, though. You know, no big deal. Been working on this bracket right here, this one right here. I had to bend it more of an S shape. That way, when I tighten those bolts down, it doesn't move this pump into like some kind of unusual kind of configuration. So that bracket, those nuts are welded on. Outside of painting that bracket right here, that's done, which I'm really happy to say that. So now I'm just going to get these. Matter of fact, I'm going to find, let's see, well, this, my back. Battery's running down on this. This cold weather really hurts them. Just knocks them out, man. Fortunately, I've got 3 of them, so it's not a big deal. But and fortunately, I can run that bolt in with a ratchet. I think I can. Oh yeah. I just want to make sure this bolt isn't going to bottom out before it, bottom out in the hole before it tightens up on the pump. There we go. Okay. There's probably a little bit of dirt, crud, and the threads in the block there. All right, let's see. Because these bolts, like this one, they go all the way through the timing cover and into the block. One little important piece of information about these. When you're working with them, these bolts that do that, they're going through an aluminum timing cover, so it's probably a good idea to slather the shank of these bolts with some anti-seize. It just keeps that from seizing up in that timing cover, because I have seen them where they will seize up in the timing cover and the rest of it is just fine. So just so you know, if you're interested in doing this swap yourself, these brackets here and then these brackets there they're just homemade by me, and for the tensioner and then for the power steering pump. The rest of this is just simply bolts right on, pretty much. The timing cover itself is a Magnum timing cover, and of course you got this assembly, this bracket assembly, that your AC compressor bolts to and your alternator bolts to that. So there you go. And I will take this off, and I did modify this bracket a little bit, but I will take off the AC compressor and let you see that. Give me just a second here. Okay, y'all. As you can see, I got the water pump off. It's sitting right over here. I did not have a gasket on it. I was just mock-up purposes there. So I'm going to put a gasket on it. I'm probably just going to oil it. Paper gasket, so I'm just going to oil it down and it'll be fine. This bolt hole here, this is the one that the impactor's having trouble driving that bolt in. As you can see, there's quite a bit of rust residue right there. So there's some rust in the block right there where it came out. Matter of fact, here's the bolt right here. So no big deal. I can clean that out. All right, got bolts in the harmonic balancer crank pulley deal there. Found a bolt to go in there, because I was missing one right there. And so I'm also going to get the O-ring on this right here. This goes in the water pump. It's for one of the heater hoses. Oh yeah, I was going to get this off and let you see that under there. So let me get a socket and I will get right on that. Let's see, is it old school 1/2 inch? Sure acts like it. So here we go. I'll let you see what I did to that bracket there to modify it to get that thermostat housing to work. It's clear. And before I do, I'll get my light up here. Let you see how close we are. We're Really, really close. I mean, we are like just scraping by, you know. So here we go. Just got 2 bolts holding this down. So now some of y'all may be saying, why don't you just go get a Magnum engine and make more power? Da 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 da. Okay. The reason why I'm not putting a Magnum engine back in the truck is because I don't have one. And I have limited funds. So I'm working with a limited budget. As you can see right here, there was a part that went across here. I just cut that out. Ground on a little bit, ground on this under here to just clear the thermostat housing. This is an old thermostat housing that I just welded this onto. Yeah, I know it looks horrible. Hey, if it doesn't leak, you know, and the thermostat works, and we're good, okay? So I don't think I'm compromising too much strength right here either. So I had to do that so I could get to the bolt right here, but also so I could put this on. So yeah, the intake I plan on using is very, very similar to this 2-barrel intake. It's a 4-barrel intake, but it's set up like this too as well. It has the thermostat housing right here, and it's a cast iron version. It's covered up right now. It's actually it's over there, but it's a cast iron version 4-barrel spread bore intake like this. And I'm not using this one because it has the larger thermostat. It uses the larger thermostat. So there you go. All right. Also too, I want to retain my truck has a Magnum 239 V6, and I want to retain that front drive accessory setup because one, it's a serpentine setup. It's pretty trouble free, really. It's been very reliable, and not only that, it's not hard on the accessories, and not only that, that truck still has working AC. And here in the South, in the summertime, believe you me, that is something you love to have. So, all right, there is my water pump box back there. So, let's get this plate off of here and get that. Reason I've got the towel over that is I want to keep the trash out of the carburetor. Now, for those of you who've never put one of these water pumps on a Magnum, Dodge Magnum engine, this is going to be pretty much exactly the same thing. You got, basically you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This bolt and this bolt go all the way through the timing cover into the block. The rest of them aren't as long. I'll show you a little bit more about that when I go to put it back on. So, give me just a minute and I'll start putting well, I'll go ahead and show you some of this. Okay, see, like let me set the camera up here. You can see the, whoop, 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 whoop. Almost knocked my camera down. Okay, so I got this nipple I got to put in the water pump. I'll take it out there to my vise, my other vise. Got a O-ring right here. See, little O-ring. And that's just going to go on here. I'll just go ahead and put it on here, on there right now. And don't forget that, because if you forget this, you'll have a massive ass leak. Ask me how I know. Also, put your little, when you put that O-ring on this fitting, this pipe, be sure to put maybe a little dielectric grease. You can even use like even Vaseline. Okay, just something to like lubricate it, so when you put it down into the water pump, it goes right here. You put it down in the water pump, it just goes down in there without a whole lot of fuss. See, I'm trying to push it down in there. See, this is supposed to be here. Okay, so when you push it down in there, it just goes in there without a whole lot of drama. Okay. Then, let's see. Okay. Here's my nipple. And it just goes right there. It's already got sealant on it, so I'm just going to leave that alone. I'll just get some adjustable pliers, channel locks, and I'll run that down in there. And then the gasket, it's just a paper gasket, pretty much like always. And all I'm going to do on that is just simply, I'm going to lubricate this. You can use wheel bearing grease, you can use Vaseline, engine oil, basically gear oil. You can use basically any kind of petroleum product you want on this gasket, these paper gaskets, because they just work really exceptionally well when you oil them down. What happens is they kind of swell, and it helps them seal. But also, when you take this off, like years later, this just comes right off with no drama. There's none of this scraping and grinding and all of that kind of foolishness. So, all right. Now you can soak these gaskets in like a tray of oil, or you can, like I said earlier, you can use some grease, or you can just take some oil, put it in your hand, okay, on the gasket, and then just start smearing that around with your fingers, okay? Simple as that, okay? Not real hard to do there. You see that gasket is soaking that oil right up, right away. So now you might say, why not some PB Blaster? Well, you can use PB Blaster too, or I wouldn't use WD-40. I would use something that is very oil based. Now, if you've got like old engine oil, you can use used engine oil on this too. That's not a bad way. My squirt can's just about out here. But yeah, you can use old engine oil too if you want. Basically, you know, like I said before, just any petroleum product, it works out really, really well on these paper gaskets, because they'll soak that oil up, and then when you go to take them off years later, they come right off. I've been using this trick here for ages and ages and ages. So you can do it, and this is something you can do pretty cheaply. And really, before anybody came along with silicone, you know, RTV, before anybody came along with like silicone or anything like that, they would do this, or they would use wheel bearing grease or Vaseline. So a lot of old timers, that's what they would do. So the RTV sometimes seals just a little bit too well after you go and so here we go. Okay. Fortunately, my workbench here is pretty clean. Of course, if you do use used engine oil, make sure you've like tried to strain out some of the crap out of it, okay? So anyway, there we go. All right, see how nice and shiny that is? That is looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit more on the back side. I think we'll be okay. Now this oil has a little tiny bit of stickiness to it, so it'll want to stick just a little bit to like anything you put it on. So, of course, make sure your gasket surfaces are clean. Usually you don't have to worry about that on a new water pump, but I had this sitting on that engine for several months. Let me get a scraper. Be right back. So, there we go. All right. So, here we go. Oh, yeah, I was going to take this out there to my other vise, and clamp down on this nipple, install the nipple. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, here's the nipple right there. Show you how I do this. Got it clamped up, water pump clamped up in the vise, and they probably make a specialized tool just for this, but that's what I use. Okay, so, all right. Let me take this back in there, and I'll show you putting it all back together. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I've been cleaning the surface there where the water pump goes on the timing cover. So I thought I'd set the camera up over here on top of the welder, that you all see. Hopefully you can see. Let me check that camera there. Yeah, okay. Let's see. There we go. Alright, that's better. Get you a little zoomed in there. Alright, so let's see. One more thing.